Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. April 19th, 2019, the Good Friday edition. Are you looking for a job? Well, if you like excitement and travel, the Fukushima nuclear power plant owned by Tokyo Electric Power is looking for you. They are looking for up to 340,000 foreign workers to come in and clean up the plant. Funny they can't get Japanese workers to do that. Nevertheless, if you like opportunity, you like travel, and you want to go to an exotic place and do exotic work, that may be the place for you. Next up, as I reported earlier this week, a former president, Humala of Peru, killed himself prior to being arrested for charges of corruption. This has led to a discussion about the probity of the Peruvian prosecutors in their anti-corruption push. Obviously, or at least there are allegations that powerful politicians took millions of dollars of bribes from Odebrecht, and now people are beginning to ask if prosecutors are overreaching. It's interesting that simply because prosecutors prosecute and investigate that, and people find this abhorrent, particularly in light of this suicide. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. In one of the most interesting debates, there is a split between the U.S. and Canada, imagine that, on training around the Boeing 737 MAX. Apparently, Canada's aeronautical industry wants to get updated training for their pilots before they will certify that they can fly the 737. The U.S., of course, not particularly worried about additional training, has resisted this effort. But if international companies, international regulators require this, it would delay the implementation of the solution and obviously the implementation of utilizing Boeing planes. So it's going to be interesting to see if the FAA, the U.S. regulator, really puts Boeing above and beyond the safety of passengers going forward. And finally, we rarely get to talk about the Fyre Festival in this podcast, but there's an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal about the bankruptcy case where one of the bankrupt estate's lawyers wants to subpoena records from Hulu and Netflix around their behind-the-scenes footage used in their documentaries. They wanted to see if there is additional information that could be used to explore the lead-up and aftermath of the event, the fraudulent event, and see whether there may be additional creditors which can be brought in to help pay some of the numerous folks that are owed money based upon this fraud. And finally, today is Good Friday, but it's also Passover. It's not often that we have both of these very important, indeed the most important religious holidays of these two faiths intersecting. So if you are Christian or Jewish, I hope you have a very wonderful Easter weekend or Passover celebration. As you may know, we've had several new offerings on the Compliance Podcast Network. One of those includes Popcorn and Compliance, where Jay Rosen and I take a look at compliance through the lens of movies, both current, contemporary movies, and classic movies. We recently premiered 2 new shows on the Compliance Podcast Network in modern medium. Paris Fox takes a look at how you go through the process of designing art and why it's so important for the compliance practitioner to utilize these skills in their communications with their employees. In Forensically Speaking, Jonathan Marks helps you understand the forensic side of compliance.